South Carolina, LSU. It's the biggest game of the weekend. We'll talk about it with Chris Marler.
You are Locked On College Football, smothered and covered, with your host, Barrett Sallee. Your one-stop shop for everything college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in. It's a Thursday of college football smothered and covered. Really appreciate you making this your first listen every single day. You can find us Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today is a big show because it is time to shine. So this is when we are going to tell you about some players who absolutely have to have big games. Big games on the road, big games at home, big games wherever. And of course, first things first, we are going to talk about Tyler Van Dyke. Tyler Van Dyke at Wisconsin needs to have a huge game. He was a superstar prospect. He fizzled out at Miami. He's going to Wisconsin. He's playing an undisciplined Alabama team that commits too many penalties, that still might have some questions in the secondary. All of those things combined means that this dude has to shine. Also, LSU's offensive line. Where the heck has LSU's offensive line been? Will Campbell was supposed to be a star. You were supposed to have the best offensive line in the country. Now, I understand on paper, at least in some instances, LSU's offensive line might look fine. It's not. They can't run the football. They've been dominated up front. And now they have South Carolina coming in. And we'll talk about this a little bit later with Chris Marler. This is a massive, massive game. Not just because it's strength versus weakness, or at least weakness through two games. But Francine's coming. Francine might be there already. It's going to get ugly in the trenches. It's going to be a fist fight. LSU better be ready because South Carolina's coming. And they're coming with bad intentions. Really bad intentions. It's like The Skulls. Remember The Skulls? Great movie from the early 2000s, late 90s. Where Pacey from Dawson's Creek is rowing and trying to make it into one of those secret societies. And he's rowing, and the coach is like, I want 3 more with bad intentions. Bad intentions. That's exactly what South Carolina is going to bring. So LSU's offensive line, it is time for you to shine, and shine in a massive, massive way. We'll also go, to Gainesville, but not DJ Lagway. It's not DJ Lagway, and it's not even a Florida Gator. It's Connor Weigman. This guy's kind of an enigma. I think with Connor Weigman, it's like snapshots and sound bites, right? It's like in an election. Everything's snapshots and sound bites. That's kind of what Connor Weigman has been throughout his career. Have all this hype, you get a snapshot, you get some sound bites, and then poof, he's gone. I don't know what he is. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what he is. He looks hesitant. Is that just because he's being rattled by Notre Dame? I don't know, but he's supposed to run. He hasn't really run, and I don't know why. He's supposed to be a first-round draft pick. All of these NFL scouts, PFF, all of them, they love Connor Weigman. Where's he been? I'd love to see it because he's going into a very difficult environment. And, generally speaking, the Swamp is intimidating, but it's a desperate Florida fan base. It's a desperate Billy Napier. It's a Florida team that has quarterback issues all over the place. Do you start DJ? Do you start Graham? What does the rotation look like? Do you specify series? All of those things. It is going to be a wild, unique atmosphere that I don't think anybody can be prepared for, much less a guy who has been hesitant, not only on the ground, but it just seems like he's a second off. He's hesitant. It's a lot like Cade Klubnik. We've talked about this a lot, where he's not anticipating receivers coming out of the breaks. And they have great receivers. That's what's so confusing, is that Texas A&M has great receivers. Against Notre Dame, like, where were they? So Connor Weigman, it is definitely your time to shine. We're going to take a break. Coming up, we will talk to my dude. You know him from Locked On Gamecocks. He also does some stuff on social media over at 104.5 in Baton Rouge. He is Chris Marler, and he is coming up right now. The show brought to you by Factor. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this May with dietitian-approved meals, ingredients that you trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. This Factor has restaurant-quality ingredients. Restaurant-quality ingredients. Filet mignon, shrimp, blackened salmon, all that stuff that you love. Enjoy effortless lifestyle. I mean, it's an effort. You can choose from 6 different menu preferences. 6. Like manage calories, maximize protein, all of that. You can eat well balanced if you want to as well. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 and use promo code LockedOnCollege50, and you'll get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your first month. That's promo code LockedOnCollege50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50. You'll get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. They do a fantastic job over there, so go check them out. Show also brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We have something a little different for you now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. All you have to do is have a Google account. Everybody has a Google account. If you don't, I don't know what your problem is. With a YouTube base plan, you'll be able to watch every single regular season Sunday out of market game. You can cancel at any time. You have to have a current form of payment. Just visit FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. Joined now by my good friend Chris Marler. Of course, you can hear him on Locked On South Carolina right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. He also does some stuff over at 104.5 in Baton Rouge. And Chris, I do believe 2 teams that you cover are playing each other in Columbia. What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It should be a fun weekend. I'm excited. There's there's just so much hype around South Carolina right now that I haven't it feels like it could be sustained hype that they haven't seen in quite some time if they win this game. It's coming spurts, right? I feel like the Mayo Bowl was one of them. The November in 2022 is one of them, but not like this. It's like with game day coming to town and all that kind of excitement. It's been a wild week, I feel like, in Columbia.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's no doubt it's a lot. And not anything that I expected, because I thought the exact opposite was going to happen in Lexington, where South Carolina was going to get run out of the building because Kentucky wins the battle in the trenches, generally speaking. except last Saturday when the exact opposite happened with Dylan Stewart and Kennard and the rest of that defensive front. Did you see that coming? Because I was just floored.
So I knew there was a path for them to win. But the thing with South Carolina is that it's like they haven't played well enough offensively to run away with a game like that. And so it would have had to have been multiple defensive takeaways. Obviously, you have a pick six, but there's a difference between being like, you know what, Brock Vandegrift's in his first SEC start, just like Lenore Sellers. Maybe they can get after him a little bit. They got after him all day. I think there was I forgot the total number, but it was however many dropbacks it was. I think he was pressured on over 90% of them or something crazy, just running for his life all day. The thing that was craziest to me about what they did to Brock Vandegrift is because if you can make anyone one-dimensional, you have a chance to win.
Yeah.
And I think the strengths going into that game offensively for Kentucky were going to be Vandegrift and the receivers. And he was 3 of 10 for 30 yards. And that included a 31-yard reception or completion. That was just all day they got after him.
I'll argue 4 of 10 because one of them was in pick six.
Also a good point. Yeah, the old Mac Jones treatment from that Auburn 2019 game.
I was going to say, you seem like you know that one a little bit. That was offhand.
I was telling somebody at a wedding this summer, and we were arguing about Mac Jones, and they were Auburn fans, and I said, I was like, Mac Jones is pretty good. He had 4 touchdowns in the 2019 Iron Bowl. They're actually he had 6, so just 2 of them were on the opposite teams.
That game was one of the wackiest, most ridiculous, most entertaining games I've ever been at. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, man, I don't know. I think the thing with Kentucky is I just thought their front seven was going to be so stout that it would be something that would shut down South Carolina with an offensive line that I think is better, but it's not like it's, one of the best in the SEC. It's just the way that game played out, the 31-6 and how everything because I tell you what too, Barrett, in the second quarter and third quarter, it wasn't like South Carolina looked like they were going to pull away or even pull ahead, really. It was just they looked bad on offense, and they were having to get these very sporadic chunk plays. Because I think at one point they had 27 plays for 52 yards after the touchdown, less than 2 yards to play. And then just the floodgates open. And then I also haven't seen a meltdown like that from a Kentucky and Mark Stoops team in forever. That was one penalty in the first half, and you look up in the late in the third or fourth quarter, and it was 11 penalties total. They had a full-on meltdown.
That's absolutely uncharacteristic of Kentucky teams. And, I think Lenore Sellers, he got a lot of hype going into the season. I think a lot of people were like, this dude can play. And I kind of thought to myself at media days, I was like, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
He might be pretty good, but let's not judge him off of anything that he's ever done.
Right.
And I still have doubts in the passing game. I wouldn't say doubts, just I'm curious about what he can do in the passing game in big moments. But he can run.
Yeah.
And Francine is there. So there's going to be a lot of rain. Does that play into South Carolina potentially having a little bit more success against LSU?
Dude, I'm telling you, I hate to say this for my LSU contingent, but it feels like the matchup itself benefits South Carolina so much more than LSU. LSU can't run the football. They can't.
And their offensive line hasn't been good. That's one of the most shocking things this year.
Right.
Their offensive line's been
Going into the season, you heard everyone around Baton Rouge was like, "This is the best offensive line in college football."
Yep.
Field Yates has his preseason mock draft, and it's both tackles are in the first round, and that's all great. I don't think they've allowed a sack the entire season so far against Nichols and USC, but they got bullied against USC, and they got bullied inside especially. So maybe they try to run the ball and it negates the pass rush for South Carolina, but they cannot run the football. They're the only team. Hold on, not only are they last in the SEC in rushing yards per game, they're the only team in the conference without a rushing touchdown all year. It's just not part of their offensive identity.
It's bizarre. And that Nichols game, that score was a little bit deceiving because that was, I wouldn't say it was close, but at times it was kind of like, what are y'all doing? Seriously, what are y'all doing? But South Carolina, Shane Beamer after that Kentucky game, I think overall he's one of the most honest people in the sense that he doesn't say, I don't hear the outside noise. I don't hear the outside noise. He hears it and he will let you know that he hears it. Calling out our boy Chris Doering saying that the offensive line at South Carolina was trash. He got mad at me at media days because I put out my SEC coaches who would win a fight, and he was way down there. And he was like, dude, I run 3 miles every morning. I go in the facility and lift for an hour. I was like, look, whoa. Easy, buddy. Easy. Chill out.
He's going to fight you.
He will. Honestly, he was mad. I thought he was joking. And then when he sat down for the show, I was like, oh, he's actually pissed off about this.
Oh, wow.
But to me, that honesty is kind of like how he built the program. It's why I still like him. He heard the noise. He knows that he heard that people were saying, I don't know, man, South Carolina and Shane Beamer, if they don't succeed, Shane might be gone. To me, he used that as motivation, and he will tell you that he used it as motivation, which to me is awesome, and it's genuine, and it helps South Carolina, the players and the program and the administrators recognize that this is not BS.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that you can actually build off of.
I agree. I think there's times where it comes off as like petulant and kind of frustrating to watch, as I don't think he always does the best job of accepting responsibility for some things. And he goes off on these tangents. Like you saw it last year. I feel like last year's the first time he had to face like a lot of actual criticism and like adversity, especially in these post-game press conferences. Cause like he would go up there and tell stories about his kid, getting like people talking about it at school. And you're like, what are you talking about, Shane? Like, what are you actually talking about? I do think that he does hear the outside noise a lot more than a lot of coaches. And that's fine. Like if it works as motivation, if it's like whatever, I don't think it's a situation like where it's like Mullen and Drinkwitz where you're like,
they get pissed off.
Right. And it's becoming like part of your entire personality post game and you are creating these like little like weird clips and personas around what one specific person said. Like it's not that unhealthy or unstable, but it is something it's kind of like, I think he was overhearing about the hot seat talk, because I do think the hot seat talk was so premature on what was going into the season. And here's the other thing too. A lot of that is built around the fact that it's like, all right, well, the schedule is really tough. Like, how is South Carolina going to win any games? No one thought they're going to beat Kentucky. Like, no one thinks they're going to beat LSU for the most part. Like there's some like people that are calling for the upset, but going into the season, I remember I kept saying, I was like, listen, there's 4 games on this schedule that no one's giving you a chance to win at all, and it's LSU, A&M, Mizzou, and Ole Miss, and those are all very tough games. But South Carolina plays one of the toughest schedules every single year, and you could make an argument. This year, like I think their FPI strength of schedule was like 17 going into the season. That's like the lowest it's been in I don't even know how long.
It's down in the SEC.
Right. It's like 11th overall in the SEC. And here's the other thing too, Beard, is they have all 4 of those teams I just listed. All 4 of those teams have struggled on the road over the last 2 to 3 years. All 4 come to Williams-Brice. Like it's going to be very difficult to win this Saturday against a really good LSU team and roster, and Ole Miss is going to be a juggernaut, and the other 2 as well are going to be difficult games. But like you get all of them at home, and the real one that was going to be like the toughest, I think, out of all 5 of those games would be Kentucky on the road, because you had to go on the road. Beamer had like 2 wins in SEC road games since he's been there.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he's honest about it too, because they all hear that noise. They all hear it.
Oh yeah.
They never will admit it, but they all know what we're saying. And what we are saying about LSU is fascinating to me, because I was of the belief after the USC game that I wasn't really that disappointed in LSU. They threw the ball well. The running game was still sort of in progress. The defense actually was all right. It was more a compliment to USC because they did this thing called tackling, which I hear is popular in the sport of football these days. I think they'll be okay. Did you get the same sense, or is there more concern?
I got the same sense. I think the question marks that we had going into the year for LSU were receiver, LSU, like you're going to be going into a situation where it's like you're losing Jaden Daniels, you're losing 2 first-round picks at receiver. Like, how do you like replace that?
Right.
And I never thought that Nussmeier was going to be a bad quarterback. It's just a different style of play.
It's different. Exactly.
Like, dude, if 3rd and 8, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11, there's no part of you that's going to be concerned that Garrett Nussmeier is going to break off an 80-yard run. Like, that was a legitimate concern with Jaden Daniels. And now it's like, he might throw for a first down. I love what they did on the first drive of that game against USC, where they targeted Kyron Lacy like 5 times right out of the gates. Like, that's going to be your go-to guy. Mason Taylor's.
I don't know why he disappeared in the second half.
What was that about?
I don't know. No idea.
He got on a milk carton at the final 30 minutes. It made no sense.
They still do that. None of my milk cartons actually have that.
There's a Netflix documentary out right now. I think it's Netflix. It's like about like the original person on the side of a milk carton.
Really?
But they never found her.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like,
why did they keep doing it?
I don't know. It seems like it's pretty bad luck.
Yeah. Plus, like, how many people start looking like it's a milk carton? Are you going to be inspired to say, "Oh, I got to go look for this person"?
I'm probably not going to buy that milk.
You have no idea where she is. Like,
yeah.
Not even the same region. I don't know.
That was always like the worst thing of my childhood was when you'd be watching like Unsolved Mysteries, like on a Saturday night. They have this whole scary story, and then like. Then you realize that they never solved whoever the murderer was, and they'd be like, the killer was last seen on Memorial Drive in Stone Mountain, Georgia. You're like, that's like down the street from me. Like, what are you doing?
That show, man, Robert Stack, I was terrified of that guy.
Yeah.
And then he showed up in Basketball, which is one of the most underrated movies of all time. And I was like, whoa, I did not prepare for that. I gotta reel it back a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's but I tell you, we should do a whole series on SEC milk carton guys, because I tell you the one that's the most concerning that no one's ever checked in on since 2020. KJ Costello came into Baton Rouge, put up like 600 yards of passing, and then we just never heard from him again.
Yeah, he got benched like 3 weeks later.
Yeah, him and DB Cooper, I think like they robbed a bank and jumped out of a plane. Yeah,
DB Cooper, there's a name.
Yeah.
I love
what were we talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, LSU.
LSU, that's right.
It was concerning only like I think Nussmeier's the guy, man. Like he looked really, really good. I just also think that like because the way that fourth quarter played out is a concern for LSU fans, because it's like you gave up like 184 yards. You got outscored like 14-3 in the fourth quarter alone against USC. And I mean, the 184 yards and then the penalties and all, like they did everything, like USC did everything they wanted in the fourth quarter to pull away and win that game. And LSU was in a position to win the game. Like, dude, got a big stop at the start of the fourth quarter. Like, I just thought it was, I wouldn't say uncharacteristic. It's just not where they thought they were going to be. And I think the thing that is concerning is Nussmeier's awesome. Like, he's really, really good. I love the gunslinger mentality. I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC all season long. But the other side of that is, like, you had 6 passing touchdowns against Nichols. Like, how did you not manage to run the ball against Nichols to get into the end zone?
At least try. Right? At least
try.
Yeah, it was bizarre. All right, who you got?
That's tough.
I got LSU covering.
Do you have them covering?
I have them covering.
So I'm
like, I would never actually go to Vegas with my own money. And
right.
Lay down that bet, but I have them covering.
Yeah, that's fair. The line was at 9.5. It's down to like 6.5. It might be hovering around 7.
Yeah.
I like South Carolina to keep it close. I really do. I don't think they have enough on offense, so I do like the under. Because I just think the rain's going to play,
especially in the rain. Yeah,
dude, 70% chance of rain. It's going to be miserable there. Like my head tells me LSU, but there's just something about going to Williams-Brice and this defense, man. This defense has had 70 turnovers since the start of the 2021 season. That leads the SEC. I don't think Lenore Slowers has to be great. He just has to protect the football and then keep LSU's offense off the field. I'm going to take South Carolina, man. I'm going to take them to cover.
Okay.
But here's the thing I keep coming back to, Barrett, is can your offense get to 20 points? Can you get to 20 points? Because the last 5 teams they've played for South Carolina have not scored over 20 points. And I think LSU has the offense, obviously, to do that. But, like, South Carolina's defense has been really, really good. And they've been opportunistic. They've turned you over. I think that they're going to give like a lot of frustrations and fits to LSU on Saturday. I do think LSU pulls it out like in the end. I'm going to change this, by the way, by the time I get on my show.
Right.
Like I can feel myself talking into it, but I'll say LSU in like a very close game, like 24-20.
All right. I like it. Chris, it's been a pleasure. I always enjoy you hopping on the show, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, you can't find me on Twitter right now, so that's the whole
I
thing.
heard you got locked out again. What did you do?
I got like my email got hacked or something, and they're like, "Well, we can't prove it's you." And I'm like, you know what? Maybe Twitter isn't for me right now. Maybe I'll just come back.
You had more Twitter issues. You should join Threads. Threads is fun.
I was like, am I just going to have to be in like on Threads and talking into the abyss? Like that might just be where I'm at.
Fun. I like it.
I might join it. But no, so Locked On Gamecocks, ESPN 104.5 on social media for there. And then also we do Cover Crimson with me and Clint Lamb and some other guys, a part of the Next Round Live over there in Birmingham, talking about Alabama as well.
Let me tell you about LinkedIn. LinkedIn does a great job. When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking at the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and those conditions, of course, they apply. All right, let's talk about realignment. I absolutely hate this. And no, it's not the move of San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, and Colorado State to the Pac-12 from the Mountain West. Fine. We'll talk about what that means in a second. But I absolutely hate this happens during the season every single time. And it even started back when A&M and Missouri came to the SEC. It was in week 1. It's like, I know there's no way to time these things. I get it. But can't y'all wait? Like, do something different during administrative season. I know that's unrealistic. I know these things have to be done quickly. They have to be announced. I get it. It's business. I understand. It just really makes me mad because I want the focus to be on the game. I really do. And look, I think it's great for the Pac-2, which is now called the six-pack in my mind. Sure, fine. Go get 4 really good Mountain West programs. And I know you have to announce it right now, but damn, I hate that it happens during the season. With that said, what does this mean for the Pac-12/six-pack? To me, it doesn't make them a Power 5 conference, but what it does make them the best group of 5. And that is important because they're not going to get a guaranteed bid into the college football playoff. That I don't think is even the goal, but it makes the Pac-12/six-pack, I think, the best group of 5. So what does that mean? It means that they'll probably get an automatic bid to the college football playoff, being the top 5, being the top ranked group of 5 champion. It also means that because that perception exists, maybe they get a team toward the back end that is high enough ranked in the college football playoff rankings to earn a bid, to earn an at-large bid. So To me, that's part of it. The other part of it, to me, that's very interesting is from a TV perspective, this isn't going to make the Pac-12 more attractive, but it might just be a little bit more financially, just a little bit more. They have the deal with the CW and Fox. So we know there are two willing partners just for Washington State and Oregon State and this scheduling partnership with the Mountain West. More on that in a second. So do they add a little bit more on CW? Do you put more on Fox Sports 2, on Fox Sports website, work a deal with Apple, Netflix, whatever? Does it make this conference attractive enough? At least enough in my mind to go to market. With that said, there's going to be fees all over the place. There'll be lawsuits from the Mountain West, all that other stuff. But Mountain West, y'all, you could have avoided this. Mountain West really screwed up here because they had the scheduling agreement with the Pac-2. Then a couple months ago, there was some consternation, and they said that it's not going to be renewed. Y'all could have merged. Y'all could have merged so easily. And I know that means that there might be a shakeup in conference offices. I hate that, but it could have been mutually beneficial and certainly beneficial to the Mountain West. So they have themselves to blame. They just have themselves to blame. And it's going to get worse. You don't think everybody else in the Mountain West is going, maybe we should join the six-pack? Because they ain't stopping at 6. A 6-team conference really is 8 teams, 10 teams. That'll play nicely. So it'll be interesting to me to see if the six-pack goes after some more Mountain West teams, or, and I'm just throwing this out there, North Dakota State, South Dakota, get the Jackrabbits, Montana State. Those are pretty good programs. I wonder if they'd like to jump up to FBS. They might. So I think those are the next two scenarios. What happens? More Mountain West or some FCS powers? Because I do believe FCS powers would jump at the opportunity. That will do it for this edition of College Football Smothered and Covered, powered by the Locked On Network. Hey, for your next listen, go check out Locked On College Football. Spencer McLaughlin does a great job over there. You can catch links and information about that show right below this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or one of the podcast platforms. The description is below. Thank you very much for listening. We'll do some picks tomorrow. Until then, have a great one.